Hey everybody, it's me, back once again for the Your Life Blueprint Sound Vibrations for the day of Monday. I am here every day, every single day, with a bass and vibrations, words from the great and even the not so great sometimes, so that we can understand ourselves and our relationship to the world in a deeper way. We start with the idea that every day has its own vibration, has its own personality. And by tuning into that, we can then tune into where that vibration personality is in our own self, in our own blueprint. So today is Monday, the day of devotion. Devotion, the devotional quality. All about the heart, all about giving that devotion, that open-hearted love freely, keeping the heart open. How difficult is it to keep the heart open, even for someone who is spiritually a devotional type? That's the key. How do you keep the heart open even in the midst of being uncomfortable, even in the midst of a disagreement? So many disagreements these days. Everybody fighting about something, disagreeing about this and that, and everybody has their own opinion. Well, it's true, everybody does have their own opinion, yep. And they are entitled to it. But to try to change somebody else's mind because of the way you think, not the way to go. Because we all are unique, we all have our own blueprints, right? Some people have the devotional type spiritually. Some people have it in relationships, like I do. Some people have it in career. Some people have it in emotions. Some people have it in the physical body, even. Everybody's different. Let's hear today some vibrations from the great Charles Bukowski, writer, poet. He was a devotional, heart-oriented, spiritual type. Hard to see in him initially, because he had a very gruff exterior, but his heart was hurt. His heart was destroyed early in his life. So it's a little hard to see that, but if you dive deep into his writings, you start to see it. You really do start to see the heart in Mr. Bukowski. So I'll play some vibrations today, and we'll hear what he has to say. A poem called Classical Music and Me. I have no idea how it began. As a boy, I believed that classical music was for sissies, and as a teenager, I felt this even more strongly. Yes, I think it began in this record store, where I was in my booth listening to whatever I listened to at that time, and then I heard some music in the next booth. The sound seemed very strange and unusual. I saw a man leave his booth and return the record to the clerk. I went to the clerk and asked for that record. She handed it to me. I looked at the cover. But, I said, this is symphony music. Yes, said the clerk. I took the record to my booth and played it. Never had I heard such music. Unfortunately, I no longer remember what that piece of marvelous music was. I purchased that record. I had a record player in my room. I listened to the record over and over again. I was hooked. Soon I found a secondhand record store. There I found that you could turn in 3 record albums and get 2 back. I was fairly poor, but most of my money went for wine and classical music. I loved to mix the two together. I went through that entire secondhand record store. My tastes were strange. I liked Beethoven, but preferred Brahms and Tchaikovsky. Borodin didn't work. Chopin was only good at moments. Mozart was good when I was feeling good, and I seldom felt that way. Smetana I found obvious, and Sibelius awesome. Ives was too comfortable, too self-comfortable. Goldmark, I felt, was very underrated. Wagner was a roaring miracle of dark energy. Haydn was love turned loose into sound. Love turned loose into sound. Handel created things that took your head and lifted it to the ceiling. Eric Coates was unbelievably cute and astute. And if you listened to Bach long enough, he didn't want to listen to anybody else. There were dozens more. I was on the move from city to city, and carrying a record player and records along was impossible. So I began listening to the radio and picking up what I could. The problem with radio was there were a few standard works that they played over and over. I heard them too often and could anticipate each note before it arrived. But the good part was that at times I heard new music that I'd never heard before by composers I had never heard of or read about. I was surprised at the many composers, fairly unknown, at least to me, who could produce these wondrous and stirring works. Works that I would never hear again. I have continued to listen to classical music via the radio for decades. I'm listening as I write this. Listening to Mahler's Ninth. Mahler was always one of my favorites. It's impossible to listen to his works again and again without tiring of them. It's possible to listen to his works again and again without tiring of them. Through the women, through the jobs, through the horrible times and the good times, through deaths, through everything, in and out of hospitals, in and out of love, through the decades that have gone so swiftly. There have been so many nights of listening to classical music on the radio, almost every night. I wish I could remember the name of the piece I first heard in that record booth, but it evades me. For some odd reason, I do remember the conductor, Eugene Ormandy, one of the finest. Now Mahler is in the room with me, and the chills run up my arms, reach the back of my neck. It's all so unbelievably splendid, and I can't read a note of music. But I have found a part of the world like no other part of the world. Oh, I have found a part of the world like no other part of the world. It gave heart to my life and helped me to get here. It gave heart to my life and helped me to get here. Find something today that gives heart to your life.